Good evening and welcome to the Town Board meeting of August 4th, 2025. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think since today is a Coast Guard's birthday, Mr. Subarta, do you think you could lead us?
One nation, under God, indivisible.
And if we could all remain standing as we remember those who have served our country, those who have sacrificed for our country, those who protect us, and also a special prayer for those in New York City affected by the shooting last week. I know some people in town have lost some friends, and we pray for God to give them some peace. Thank you. We will start with introductions to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Deputy Supervisor.
Patrick Murphy, Councilman.
Susan Siegel, Councilwoman.
Katie Krolik, Acting Town Attorney.
All right, and we're gonna change the order a little bit, rather than everyone have to wait for the reports from the town. I'd like to go first to proclamations. Patrick, I think you're starting off.
Got it. The proclamation, this 4th day of August 2025. Whereas the United States Coast Guard, founded on August 4th, 1790, has proudly served our nation over 2 centuries as one of the 5 branches of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas the men and women of the Coast Guard selflessly performed vital missions including maritime safety, security, environmental stewardship, as well as search and rescue operations, disaster recovery, and law enforcement. And whereas the Coast Guard protects our coast, ports, waterways, often operating under extreme and dangerous conditions to save lives and safeguard the nation's interest. And whereas the United States Coast Guard exemplifies the highest standard of service, sacrifice, dedication, with its members embodying the core values and honors, respect, devotion to duty, and whereas our community across the United States, including our recognition, importance of the Coast Guard's role in national defense, homeland security, and we express our profound gratitude for this tireless commitment. Now, therefore, I, Edward A. Lackerman, hereby proclaim August 4th, 2025 as United States Coast Guard Day, encouraging all citizens to honor and show appreciation for our brave individuals who serve and have served in the distinction branch of our military.
Now I know I do have a representative from the American Legion Post 1009 who served in the Coast Guard. Are there any other Coasties here? No. John, if you could come up, and Alex, if you could also come up. I have a copy of the proclamation for each the VFW and the American Legion Post. Oh, you want up, Major Sheridan, if you could come up since you're in a uniform. Well, that copy is from the American Legion. Thank you.
Proclamation this 27th day of July 2025. Whereas the Korean War began on June 25th, 1950, when the forces of North Korea invaded South Korea, sparking a conflict that will last 3 years and involve the heroic service of over 1.7 million American men and women. And whereas the armistice agreement signed July 27, 1953, ended active combat and established the Korean Demilitarized Zone, the DMZ, though a formal peace treaty was never signed. And whereas during the Korean War, over 36,000 Americans made the ultimate sacrifice, more than 100,000 were wounded, and thousands more remain missing in action to this day. And whereas the service and sacrifice of the Korean War veterans have too often been overlooked, despite their critical role in defending freedom and democracy in South Korea and around the world, and whereas July 27th is designated as Korean War Veterans Armistice Day, to honor all who served in this forgotten war and to ensure that their courage, commitment, and sacrifice are remembered and appreciated by future generations. Now, therefore, the town of Yorktown recognizes July 27, 2025 as Korean War Veterans Armistice Day and encourages all to take time to honor the legacy of our Korean War veterans and to express our lasting gratitude for their brave and selfless service.
Thank you, Sir Joe. So do we have any Korean War veterans here today? I did not think so. Oh, wait, we do? Oh, Don, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
There you are, Don.
Fantastic. Well, if you could come up, Don. Looks like Don has a post 1009 shirt, so representative. If I could have a representative from the VFW as well. So this one is a special date for me, as it's my wife's birthday, but more important, the 7th day of August is Purple Heart Medal Day. And I do see a few Vietnam veterans here. And I will say, and I've said it to representatives of Congress in the past, I do believe that those that have been affected by Agent Orange and other things in Vietnam that were not bullets, but still harmful and caused serious injury and even cost some people their lives, as my cousin Charles passed from the effects of Agent Orange, should be recognized for the Purple Heart Commendation. So I hope that, again, they listen to this, and I will be speaking with our representatives again as well. But whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration still awarded to United States military members who have been wounded or killed in combat, first established by George Washington on August 7th, 1782, as the badge of military merit. And whereas the Purple Heart Medal National Purple Heart Day is observed annually on August 7th to honor and recognize the extraordinary sacrifices of the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who were wounded or made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. And whereas the Purple Heart Medal stands as a symbol of courage, valor, and selfless service, and serves as a solemn reminder of the cost of freedom and the sacrifices made by our military heroes. And on August 6, 2013, the town of Yorktown declared itself a Purple Heart town through a resolution as recommended by the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 21. And whereas the freedom we cherish come at a price paid by the brave soldiers who stand watch every single day, whereas the town of Yorktown recognizes our residents who are recipients of the prestigious Purple Heart Award, and we thank them for their services, and resolve that the town of Yorktown recommits itself as a Purple Heart town. Signed by myself and for the entire town board. Thank you. I believe one of our residents, Purple Heart veteran Neil Gross, had wanted to say a few words.
Let's keep the 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay, time him. And if we could have the
Dr.
MP
Diana,
ready to take him
Diana,
away.
got that? First of all, I want to tell people how proud I am to be a Yorktown resident. This town has always honored its veterans, and I feel very honored myself. However, still to this day, 22 veterans, retirees, active duty people, men and women are committing suicide. There's a reason for that. And we must do all we can to slow this down or stop it completely. These people deserve all of our attention. Freedom is not free, that's true, but these people are suffering. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Neil, don't go away. If we could have, I think I see at least 3 Purple Heart veterans here. Do we have any other Purple Heart veterans? I know Brian's one of them. Eugene and Neil. If you gentlemen can come up, I would appreciate it.
He needs like 4 copies.
So I have 3 copies of this proclamation. One for the American Legion, one for the VFW. No, I have one also for the Jefferson Valley Veterans Group, the Jefferson Village Veterans Group. We appreciate your service, and we thank you for your sacrifice, and knowing that you paid a price to pain. Brian.
Hey, Joanne's got one too.
Hey, Brian.
And if we're gonna be art directing, turn the proclamation to face it. Team effort, people.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. All of you.
All right, so now we'll back up and we'll go to reports to the town. I'll start my report. Coming up on August, well, let's start with tomorrow. We are having our meeting tonight because August 5th is National Night Out for our police department, and that will be at the Veterans Memorial Field. So please come down. I believe it's 6 to 9. They'll be doing hot dogs. There will be tables. There will be not vendors. There will be people giving away things. There will be informationals for law enforcement. I believe the DA's office even makes an appearance there. And you bring the kids. There'll be the cars, the dogs, the motorcycles. And Pat, yes, you could play with a motorcycle this year again. It's a very good time, and it's our police force doing what our police force does best, which is community involvement and making sure they keep our community safe. Yorktown PD is amazing at what they do, and we are extremely thrilled to be able to go out there and support them, which is why we changed the date of the August meeting. In addition, we will have coming up on August 13th from 12 to 4 in the boardroom here, or 12 to 3. I think it's 12 to 4. We will be having another meeting for the New York Forward grants. What that is a grant that is half for the municipality and half for things that will help the municipality, such as our business districts. We have invited our Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber president. I believe they'll have a representative at that time who will be here, and it will be people who have ideas of what they could do, whether it's for arts and leisure, it could be for restaurants, it could be for buildings, it could be for streetscaping in the areas that we would be looking at. One of the major focuses that we're looking at from the town point of view is an expansion of our library, but this will all be decided if and when we get the grant. But last year we had a lot of success through the process, just not across the finish line. So if you know anyone with a business, you could get more information on our website, and I believe the grant writer's email address is there, where you could also talk to them and flesh out some ideas. Or you could call through my office, and we could put you in touch with them as well. So that's going to be a very exciting thing. The Lions concerts have been going great. I see many of the faces that have been there, and I hope that you've all been enjoying them. We thank the entire Yorktown Lions for doing what they do and getting out there, and they commit a lot of time. Most Lions clubs are off for the summer. It's actually the Yorktown Lions' busiest time of year, with the 6 concerts going on in the 9 or 10 weeks of the summertime that they put them on. So it's really, really grateful for them. And if you are coming to any of our last 2 concerts, please bring canned foods or something for the food bank. We are collecting there. And the reason I bring it up today, since we did so much military, the 24th is our military tribute concert. So there is a command performance act by Alyssa Martin. And yeah, she does such a nice job. She's a wonderful young lady with a great voice. So Dad, who's sitting in the back of the room over here. But no, a great family, and they're very committed to our community. And we're really, really grateful for that. The Golden Apple Chorus will also be there. And then our act for that day is Class Action. And unlike most of our concerts that start at 6 p.m., that one starts at 5 p.m. This past Sunday, we did have a Dance Party Explosion, but one of the nice things, our annual EV car show. And Sarah, thank you for setting that up and doing all the work that you do for that. Sarah, if you're interested, has a great new toy at home, her husband does at least, which is a battery-operated lawnmower that you just program in, and it goes and does its thing. It looks like something out of Star Wars. So it was a lot of fun to see that, and some great things there. And then the final thing I would like to hit on, just skipped my mind. So wow, yeah. I joined the club, I know. My wife was going to put me next to my mother-in-law. So if I remember, I'll come back to it. But I remember.
See, I patted him on the back. He figured, he's like, oh, yeah.
We are looking to do something similar that they do in some of the other towns, which is a senior picnic. And that'll be a town event, and that'll be sponsored. Right now we have New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital is one of our major sponsors, and we will be looking to do that hopefully behind the firehouse on September 25th. Although don't hold me on the date, we're still trying to work everything out, but we're looking to make sure that we can, give back a little to our seniors, but also have some tables there where you could come find out information. Get involved with different things. You find there are a lot of resources we have in town that are not out there. In particular, a week ago, I was at we have a bereavement group that runs through the church, and I went to their barbecue, really picnic. My mother-in-law is a member since my father-in-law died. And I just found out a friend has been going there, and she lost her husband recently, and it's been very helpful. And it goes back to something that Neil pointed out. you know, with veterans and suicide, there's a suicide problem in general. And whatever we can do to help and whatever resources we could get out there, they are important. But I think the biggest thing is look at your friends, look at your neighbors. If you see something off, ask them if everything's okay. So it's very important. Neil, thank you for bringing that up today. All right, I will now skip it on.
All right.
What?
Oh,
This coming Sunday is Sir Elton. This Sunday, then the 24th for class action and our military tribute. Thank you, Paul.
so I just wanted to.
I was going to tell the officer in the back to just eject him if he opens his mouth again. Paul's a good friend. That's why I'm joking with him.
So you know, going back to the suicide thing, it's really, really important. If you see somebody that's in distress, most of the time, saving the person from committing a suicide is just putting a little bit of daylight between the actual physical emotion that they're having at that one time and the actual event, which we hope never happens, but we know that that's not always the case. So, you know, it's really, really important that, you know, you ask the questions, and you know, there are quick tutorials online that you could look at, and they'll tell you what signs to look for. You know, we try to explain talk about suicide prevention a lot in many of the things that I do. So, and it's really important. On a lighter note, the Triangle, their renovation is well underway. It's starting to really take shape, and they're putting close to 10 million, I believe, is the number. So it's looking pretty good. There's a lot of construction going on. I know some of the stores there are struggling. They've tried to put signs out in front, but you know, it's kind of like
Please support them.
yeah, please support them. But it really is looking good, and they've been just the construction alone has garnered quite a bit of interest from several stores and stuff like that. So we're hoping they come to fruition. We can't really talk about it right now, but if it happens, there'll be some interesting retail there as well. And so we wish them the best of luck. And I think they said that they'll be done by late October, early November or something like that, which is great because it's just a couple of months away. I got to tell you, the Lions, another great concert, just unbelievable. And he stole my thunder back there because I was going to talk about August 10th with the Sir Elton. So definitely throw him out twice if he speaks out again because he's taking words. So that was just another great concert. Great weather, and it was a lot of fun last night being there. Freedom Chapel, they're located in Jefferson Valley. They had a wonderful blood drive yesterday. They said that tons of people stopped just randomly, and it wasn't just their own crew and flock, but they were able to collect quite a bit of blood for donation. So we congratulate them, and they are a great group, very close to each other, and they really believe in what they worship, and we love them for that. Congratulations on the blood drive. Coming up, we have Paris Baguette. Their grand opening is, I think, the end of the week.
Friday, 10 a.m. They're ribbon cutting. They have opened. Has anyone been there yet? Yeah, that's
very cool.
Very tempting place.
Again, another great addition to Yorktown, and I know that that Party City had gone out quite a big piece of real estate, piece of retail space there, and they went out because they went Chapter 11 or something like that. But I'm happy to say, and you probably already know, but I got to tell you, Dollar Tree took over right away. A tribute to the commerce that has been spurred on here in Yorktown. We can't keep the stores empty. We used to have the opposite problem, and I think it's a tribute to this town board and our best efforts. Lastly, we have a bakery coming here in the center of town. All right, a bakery pastry shop. I can't give you more details yet, but look for it real soon. And it's good to see everybody tonight. And I wish you the best summer, the rest of the summer. And I'm going to pass it on to Pat. Pat?
Alrighty. So today, I'm not going to speak much about it, but Lou's gonna. But I had my first pickleball game to 5. Me and Raj beat Diana and Ed. Diana was in high heels. Ed was in a suit. I was in a suit, and Raj was in shorts and a T-shirt. But we won.
And I will take all the heat. Diana played much better than I did.
100%. I'll agree with that.
In the heels, yeah.
Yeah.
She was popping the ball. She was like, they hit it, and she was like, boom, 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 and then she caught it with her hand and served.
So I learned a lot about pickleball, how, the boxes, how you rotate. I had no clue what it was about. But Luciano will expand on that. But and just on another thing, the library. It's such a great resource for our town, our kids, the seniors, everybody. It's a great resource. This week and tomorrow, just one quick example is they're going to have financial literacy for kids from 3 to 5. Like third grade to 5th grade. I'm sorry, but there's financial literacy for the kids. It's pretty awesome. And then there's a movie on Friday. In the middle afternoon, at 1:30. So, but go to the website. There's enough information there for any category of constituents out there. So, Susan?
Okay. Since this is our last, the last regular meeting until September 2nd, I just want to get where the board gives updates. I'd like to go through a list of just updates based on questions that people have been asking me over time. I met somebody yesterday who lives off Old Crumpound Road, and she said, what's happening with that road closing, and because the traffic light was no longer there. And if you're on that, from Pine Grove to where the diner is, the problem for anyone who uses that, is it Lanny's here, and I think you know that. So I checked with Dave Paganelli. Work has started, and I explained to this woman it was a problem with the trouts, and we had to wait for the trout spawning, and we were limited in time. And we actually went out to bid, awarded the bid, and some of the preparatory work has started. So that is in progress, and it's all because of the trout, and we have nothing that we could do about that. Also, I got a notice, there's been a lot of concern, this is in no particular order, concern about battery storage. And I got a notice from NYSERDA that the New York State, the Uniform Fire Code has been updated as of July 22nd with new changes to go into effect January 1st of 2026. And they have several recommendations. I emailed the building inspector to say, do our existing battery storage facilities, will they be required to go through this new mandated system? I didn't know, so I'm waiting for an answer, and I hope that the next meeting we can get that, because there was a concern. We banned new ones, but we do have, I think, 3 or 4 already existing. On the Halleck's Mill sewer extension, for those 315 people who were waiting, back in April, the board, the engineer talked about a revised plan that would go through a wetland. We call it the Gomer Wetlands. It's behind the streets off Sparkle Lake, but it needs DEC approval to go through the wetland. We have not heard, we have not been able to contact the DEC yet, so there's been no progress on that. But the county is working on a revised septic repair system, which will provide some grants for people with failing or aging septics, and that information should be available sometime in September. So we're following that, and there'll be no income restrictions on that, which is good, which is one of the problems in their last roundup. So for anyone, whether you're planning possibly getting sewers or you're not, if you're going to need a septic repair, see if you can hold off, at least until we know what's happening with this new grant program in September. Also, code enforcement comes up very frequently I think in emails that we probably all get. What are you doing about X? All right. I was going through the zoning code, which is, a mammoth thing, and I discovered a section which I have to admit I wasn't familiar with, but it requires the building department, the building inspector, to provide the town board with a quarterly report on all violations and complaints, okay, on a quarterly basis. So I have emailed our building inspector, and I hope that in the September meeting, We will have a quarterly report starting from January of 2025, and we should be looking at this on a regular basis. The supervisor talked about this special grants meeting for New York Forward on the 13th, but Ed, are we still planning to have our grant writer come to us on next Tuesday for a work session?
He will be here on the 12th for our work session to talk about where we are in the things we've been working on, and the next day he'll stay overnight, and the 13th he'll work on the special
All
meeting.
right. One of the things that concerns me is that back in July, I found out that the town was considering a grant for a community center, not a, quote, senior center, but a community center. That application is due on August 15th, 3 days after this meeting. And I have some concerns about that grant. So I hope people will come and talk about that, because it's kind of late to get information about it. I think they're talking about a community center. I think it's going to be possibly in Sparkle Lake area where the old building used to be. We take down those trailers. But I have some concerns because the grant money could be to rehab an existing community center, which we could rehab the YCC that we have now, which could use a lot of repair. So I have some concerns about that. So I urge you to come to that meeting on the next week. It will be a work session. You won't be able to talk, but you'll certainly be able to listen and give your concerns about that. And there are two legislative issues that I want to talk about. Two new legislative initiatives. One is steep slopes. We're having more and more applications involving building and disturbing on steep slopes. There's the Navajo, Toll Brothers, and we have another Foothills coming in, and I'm not sure from looking at those plans whether that also involves steep slopes. We do not regulate steep slopes in Yorktown. We do have controls about erosion control, and I am doing some research on the possible need to both, should we restrict the disturbance on very steep slopes, and also should we have a permit system as places like Greenberg and Harrison have. I will be sending the board an email about that, and I hope that in September we can talk about that. The other legislative initiative deals with recreation fee. Back last fall, there had been increasing concern about the recreation fee that developers pay, not the town, not you taxpayers, but the developers pay when they build new residential units. And that money goes into a special account called a trust and agency account, which is used to upgrade and repair and replace our parks, playgrounds, and other parks and athletic facilities. And that's running out of money. I sent memos to the town board about this I sent 2 memos back in January, which led to a joint meeting with the Rec Commission on January 15th to talk about this problem, but nothing has happened since then. The recreation fee, the laws in our books, is a mess, okay? We treat multifamily developments differently, whether they're rental or condos. Some places like the AMS, which is 180 units, does not pay a recreation fee. The new development of the townhomes just north of the Roma building, because of the way they came in, they didn't pay a recreation fee. There's a lot of confusion in multiple codes. It's interspersed. And so what I'd like to suggest to the board is that we finally get around to dealing with this issue, that we form an ad hoc committee made up of the town attorney, the planning director, the superintendent of Parks and Recreation, somebody from the Recreation Commission, and a member of the town board, okay, to sit down, go through all of these laws, which I have already blocked out what the problems are, and see what we can do to consolidate, see what needs to be amended, what has to be repealed, what we have to add, and finally get this done, because we are losing potential dollars that could be used to upgrade our parks and recreation facilities. So I will prepare a resolution for you to consider at next week's board meeting to hope to just get this committee done. I think Lanny is here. I think we had a joint committee work out the tree law many years ago. So there's a precedent for doing this where it involves multiple departments. and we need everybody's feedback, you know, on it. And I'll send you that resolution, and I will resend the 2 memos I sent that outline each of the laws and where the problem is and what I'm thinking is a possible solution. That's all. Oh, and one other thing I'd like to know on next week's agenda, will the board come to a decision on the Navajo overlay and also on the solar law? I keep getting questions from people. When are we going to make decisions?
Well, I was waiting for some information. I know we just got the planning board memo last week to go through. So
Abaca, planning board,
I think we have all
conservation.
the information.
They just came in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
we-
came in
They
last
just
week,
came in.
and I wasn't putting it on until I made sure everyone saw it.
So can we have that as a discussion item for
There
next
might be a
week?
decision on it next
A
week.
decision, and also the solar law, I think we have had, we were waiting for the climate committee. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we had a fantastic ribbon cutting at the pickleball courts at the Tom Diana Park
Take
at
care,
Grant Knowles.
Langs. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for your service.
And
Erica,
it
take
is
care.
super fun, and I have to say, I'm really enjoying it even with my kids, and we can all play. Like, if my dad can enjoy it, like in my driveway, it is super fun. I do want to tell you that it is really hot up there, and if you love tennis, it's a little bit gentler than tennis, and I think that it's not only a great place to have laughs, it's also a place where those who are the pros and those that did help raise the money for those courts, that worked with the commission and the Parks and Rec Department, are so in love with pickleball that you just love it to be with them. And there's a lot of cute socks that have pickleballs on them, so I have a whole attire. I'm very, very, very excited. I did not stay and play because I did have to bring my kids home. As far as the rec fee goes, I was able to go through every town in Westchester County, and I narrowed it down to like one of the tops and one of the lowest. We're still very low. I presented everything to Adam, and I am trying to compile the same so I can get back some feedback to you. I do believe that it is something that's been knocking on, you know, no answer for a while.
It's not just the amount of the fee.
It's how it operates, and also understanding why we would need passive land and unusable land,
Yeah.
and what that would cost it. I also think that our parks need to be repaired, and as we create new items, such as like the beautiful pickleball, we have to allot that we have to have money to repair it, or in case of the unforeseen. Like, you can't buy a car and not put gas in it. So I am working on that with him. With that being speaking, I also went and looked at the code 225, which is the curb appeal in our town. One of the things that's really important is either you are the landlord or you have a tenant, and I don't know what's in your lease, but your property should be kept well. I came up with some suggestions, like encouraging them to plant native plants in their landscaping so that they could kind of have their own maintenance. We have a huge garden place that can do that. I spoke about holding the landlords accountable, even though they have a tenant. If the curbs are broken due to like plows and salt, you still have to maintain them just like you have to shovel them. The walkways need to be cleaned. I do find that if someone's in it, of course, they're attentive to the property. But if they're not in it, then we're walking past doors that are not, and that means that the properties that are filled are maintaining them.
Lou, this is commercial, correct?
Yes, this is all commercial. And I think that it's important as well because I do see people making investments, and the rents are not a gift. And I think it's important for us to start to have the landlords be accountable for the beautification of their corners and a certain radius there, so that we don't have these issues where we have broken curbs or they're overlapping and whatnot. So those are the two things that I am working with Adam on, and hopefully we'll have some answers before the end
So,
of the
Lou,
year.
I know you've been working on especially the rec fees and the whole issue there for quite some time, and I know you've done a lot of research. So I look forward to I know you're trying to compile some kind of legislation that we can look at, refer out, and stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing that from you, because I know we've had extensive conversations
Yeah,
about
for
it.
sure.
Susan, I just wanted to mention on the and thank you for bringing the culvert up. I got several calls that it didn't look like anything was happening for about a week, and I spoke to Dave Paganelli, and he explained to me, he goes, there was some kind of an issue with how they were going to be able to get the bridge in, that the prefab bridge that they got to put there, and they had to actually redesign it a little bit because it wasn't going to be possible because the road wasn't reinforced enough for that weight. So they had to change the way they could get it in there. And that was why people, it looked like they blocked the road and then nothing was being done. It was because they were working out the problem, which has happened, and which it has not changed the finish date on the project. It hasn't affected that, but it did look like nobody was doing anything.
Yeah, that was the question that I got, because
Yeah, I know. So did I.
especially when the traffic light was taken away. She said it was okay with the traffic light, but now it's not, and I guess she has to go whichever way out of the way.
Yeah.
So that's why I checked with Dave. Just wanted to give the update that yes, progress, but it's slow.
And it's an inconvenience, I know, especially for the people around
it's
the
happening.
area. And I just wanted to mention one more thing. I forgot to mention it, but I'll tell you a story. About 2-3 weeks ago, I was looking up something. I needed to get a phone number for a tech support company that I deal with all the time. We are vendors for their products, and I needed their support number. So I just decided to Google it, and I got that AI overview. And the AI overview came up and gave me the phone number. So I trust AI, right? That was my first mistake. So I called that number, and it turned out that it was a scam. I asked the guy, "What's the portal? I'm just trying to get to the 99-year archive for this particular client." And they were like, "Well, let me just connect to your computer." So I did some research on AI, and it says that AI, if you give AI a task, correct the grammar on this, or make me a spreadsheet that's going to calculate this, and that. That's easy. That's a mathematical function. It's going to perform at a very high level. But when you're asking it about facts, medical stuff, things like that, it's the old adage, right? Garbage in, garbage out. AI doesn't know things automatically, right? It's what it's programmed to understand and believe, and then it can extrapolate from there. But if the core base information, the learning packs is what they call them, are wrong, you're going to get the wrong information. And they said that AI is about 70%, fluctuates a little on certain things like that, accurate. So just remember, next time you get that AI overview, that you're talking to a C student, all right? Please, I joke around, but please be very, very careful, because it's very easy to get scammed nowadays.
I just want to finish with two things. So the Hope Fest will be on the 16th, also at the DeVito Field. I feel like between the concerts and now we have the
Veterans Memorial Field.
Veterans Memorial Field.
At the Jack DeVito gazebo.
Yeah, okay, so whatever Ed said, but just so we know that the Flow Church is holding the Hopes Fest there on the 16th. And also, if you didn't buy a pool pass because it was expensive or you just didn't need it and your kids are still crunching the last few weeks, or you want to go in and hang out with your friends, they're on a very high discounted price right now. So please give our pools a visit. The pools are there to make sure that we can stay together and, enjoy the vendors and whatnot that are there. And also say thank you to those kids that did do a great job this year, both as camp counselors and visiting there and also as the lifeguards. That's all.
All right. I did remember one of the things I needed to say. I want to give a special thank you to Senator Pete Harcum. Today he announced the CREST grants. So we have received $100,000 to be used in outdoor, whether it's parks, whether it's streetscaping, sidewalks. I know we have a big streetscaping project that we have just started with the surveying of both Veterans and Downing. So we're hoping to get that finished up and get going on that. But this will be very helpful. I know our park infrastructure is aging, and we've been looking at some different things, and some safety on the equipment is paramount. But we'll speak with the board, and I'll be talking to our department heads just to see where that money could best be diverted.
Is that open-ended, the
Similar to the
100,000? Are there
fountains.
any restrictions on its use?
Outdoor
Similar to
stuff,
the fountains.
Just outdoor?
Well, yes,
Whole area.
that's their focus this year. So it's, like I said, he spoke about parks, he spoke about streetscaping and
Okay.
beautification projects.
So we'll have board discussions before we.
Patrick spoke about the library, and I would be remiss because my goddaughter at 11 years old is a beatophile who ended up buying herself a bass guitar and wants to be the next Paul McCartney. So we do have a Paul and John show at the library on the 15th of August. Susan, thank you on the old crampon, but and Sergio, One of the biggest issues, though, that we were experiencing was they needed to move the Con Ed gas pipe. There's a gas main that runs under the culvert.
Another issue.
And Con Edison was on with the heat waves. Their entire crews were on emergency standby. I was on the phone pretty much every other day with our Con Ed rep saying, oh, the weather's supposed to break. You're going to be there. You're going to be there. My understanding is that they were scheduled to be out this week to finally move that pipe, which is also another big inconvenience per se that was delaying. And that is some of the work that has to happen, as well as moving our water main that is there. Just one of the things that was pointed out in the AMS hearings, you brought up the fact about the TNA and actually the trust and agency, not anything else, but the trust and agency money that is given for the rec fee does exist in those, and the argument was made by the contractor's attorney, and then again also by John Tegeter, our director of planning. The trust and agency money that's paid for the rec fees is up to the discretion of the recreation,
planning
planning board. Sorry, thank you. So there is a mechanism for it. It is there. Don't get concerned that they will not be contributing. I know they feel they have a lot of recreation up there, but that does not mean that they won't be using our town recreation. I know I've had the conversation with planning to make sure that is kept front and center, and it will be.
Planning has already brought it up to AMS when they were previously. There was some kind of conversation about it, so
Yeah,
I think AMS is well aware of it.
I think the issue that I brought up is the townhouses north of the Roma building were built under transitional zoning, and there's no requirement in the transitional zone for recreation fees. I think it's 21, 22 townhouses. That's $10,000. So that's $200,000 that the potential that the town has lost out on because the transitional zone, not that we have a transitional zone development all that often. And we don't have a requirement in the RSP2, the AMS thing. We do not have it. Toll Brothers voluntarily said that they were going to pay it, and I think it's like $400,000, something like that. They volunteered. I brought it up during the AMS hearings that it's not required. Right? The planning board, at least let's have it required, and then the planning board can say, well, because you have all of this on site, you don't have to pay. That would be $4,000 per unit. So we'll only charge you $1,000 per unit, whatever it is.
I believe there's a state requirement.
There's a
for
state
that.
requirement,
So-
but it would be better if it was in a.
No, it would be, but just to be clear to people, the impression everybody probably has is that there's no requirement, they don't have to do anything, and nothing has to be done. But there actually is a state requirement, and I'd rather have it in our town code and make it stronger. We can't make it weaker than what the state requires, right?
No.
We can never do that. But we can make it stronger. We can strengthen it. We can be more rigorous, more strict on it, and that I agree with. And I know Luciana, Councilwoman Howard, has been working on that as well. So I look forward to seeing that.
There are
But
also
you're absolutely right.
and there are also differences between whether in a multifamily development, whether it's a condo or it's a rental. That has
Absolutely.
to be clarified, and you have to look at many different sections of the code. It is just all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the master.
It's all
fee,
over the
yeah.
place, and it's so. What we charge as a fee is one thing. There are also issues about the requirement for on-site recreation, because I can cite developments where it was really just totally useless things that the planning board required. Also, it should be a requirement that the planning board has to consult with and has to refer something to the
the commission.
recreation department. It is the planning board's decision, but all of this has to be codified and put into one place. What is the recreation fee? Single family, multifamily, regardless of whether it's condo or rental, whether you give land or money or whatever.
Luciana's
all in one
been
place.
doing a deep dive on this for months.
No,
months.
it
I
hasn't
just feel
been
like the
done.
master
It
fee
hasn't.
is-
Luciana has been doing a
It
deep
hasn't
dive
been.
on it for months. Just because it doesn't fit your requirements, it doesn't mean it hasn't been looked at. She's been looking at it for months.
But
Susan.
I do agree.
Susan, answer yes or no. Could you have fixed this when you were a supervisor or on town board? Yes or no?
It wasn't an issue.
Yes, you
It
could've.
wasn't an
You
issue
could've.
That didn't have come up
Okay?
at the time.
So Susan, I
think it also
think
needs
part
to-
of the issue as well is that the state law says that we have to look at we can't just charge fees directly. I hate this rule, but we can't just say whether you give us land or not or open space and compensation for the space that you're taking up. We could say we don't want the open land and we're just going to charge you a fee. I don't think we could do that legally.
I know
So-
that, and we have,
What?
whatever we have to
we
do
cannot.
has to be
Cannot.
done within the framework
Right.
of state law.
No,
You know
All
what,
I'm saying
guys,
is
you
it
could have
needs
this
to be looked
conversation
at.
offline. I'd like to move
I think it's a
on.
good conversation.
It hasn't been
I'd
looked at.
like to move on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
All right, our poet laureate isn't here today. I hope he's feeling well.
Do you have a poem for him?
We will move on to personnel. Appoint Mark Bistro to the position of permanent water service worker in the water department. Appoint Noreen Perel to the senior advisory committee. Do we have any members of the senior advisory? I see. Yeah.
Noreen's here.
Hi, Noreen. I know that some of the members wanted to come, but I don't see anyone. But I know Jenny Menton was having a problem driving at night, but she really had wanted to be here. I congratulate you. After we vote you in, though, we still got to get through that. And thank you for wanting to serve. And we're going to accept the retirement letter received from Donna Polito from the Finance Department effective the 29th day of August, 2025, with thanks for her many years of service to the town. I want to say 25 years.
Wow.
Thank you, Donna. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'd like to open the floor for public comment, but please remember, you do not have to wait for public comment. You can always address anyone on the board via phone or email. Our numbers and email addresses. Thank you, military members. Our email and all is on the town website for everyone sitting here, including the clerk, the attorney, and all of our department heads.
Good evening, Jay Kopstein. The owner of 385 Kia Street continues to operate in non-compliance with the requisite site plan and the town board resolution of September 3rd, 2024. During his last appearance before the planning board, the project architect showed the HVAC system enclosed with decorative fencing. Supervisor Lachterman, you said during the town board meeting in which the resolution granting the certificate of occupancy was passed, that you did not want to force the owner into bankruptcy. This was merciful. However, your kindness was and is continuing to be abused. During the summer, the gates to the decorative fencing have been opened in the morning and closed in the late evening, exposing the mechanicals to all passers-by. The only reason to open the gates during the hot summer days is to enhance air circulation through the HVAC system. This means the system, as built, is not capable of effectively cooling, and the system should be on the roof, which is the planning board approved location. Additionally, I have been advised that the environmental mitigation that was required by the site plan has not been done. Perhaps going forward, the town board should avoid interfering with the planning board and refrain from granting dispensation to developers who deliberately, knowingly, and intentionally disregard their site plan approvals and requirements. One must wonder why the town board continues to allow the owner of 385 Kia Street to remain in violation of the site plan and town board resolution. The town board should forthwith direct the appropriate town agencies to institute legal action against the owner of 385 Kia Street for failure to comply with the approved site plan. The town board should serve the owner and advise them that the town will bid out the required compliance at prevailing rates, execute against the funds posted by the owner to ensure compliance, and then bill the owner for all additional expenses incurred. Then, if need be, append the expenses incurred to the owner's property tax bill. Or in the alternative, the suspension or revocation of the certificate of occupancy granted by the town board in its resolution of September 3rd, 2024.
Thank you, Jake. Up to PJ.
How's everybody doing this evening? You guys are 2 for 2 getting me to come up and talk during this section when I come here for a public hearing. So you kind of sparked my interest. Rec fees, which I've been researching for several years now and through every supervisor since Mr. Grace. So it is near and dear to my heart, as I've told you in every administration that I've sat up here when I've come to talk about rec fees. So I think the committee is a great idea. You just missed one really important person that has to be on that committee, and it has to have somebody from the planning board. I want to clarify one thing. The planning board does an excellent job of referring anything out to the rec commission for our review, our comment, and they give us ample opportunity to provide any kind of input that we can give. Unfortunately, or fortunately if you're a planning board member, they don't necessarily listen to us all the time, which is their purview. They have a different focus, and I appreciate what they do as much as I appreciate what you guys do, because I wouldn't want to do any of them. So I want to help this town build and repair their park system. That's what I got recruited to this commission to do. It's what I've been doing since I've been on the commission. And I can build anything with time and money. Right now we got plenty of time and we don't have enough money. So it has been the ongoing thing. I do wholeheartedly agree that the way that our town code is written is a path for, as a contractor, I call it, I can drive a Mack truck through the loopholes in our town code. And we've had several contractors that have done that. Some of them have been gracious enough to donate money to the rec commission. Some of them have donated their time. So the property that you talk about over by the Roma building, that gentleman has done a lot.
He has.
He's done a lot for parks. If anybody has gone up, you guys were playing pickleball today. I'm sure you got underneath that pavilion and got underneath that sun. Well, that gentleman built that pavilion for us. So these are the things that he does for us because he knows what he's getting from this town. And he's a great man and a great citizen of this town. But there are other people that are here to make money. And I don't begrudge developers for making money. That's what they do. What I begrudge is developers that are making more money than they should be making because they're bringing more people into this town that are going to use our parks and rec resources. And I'm asking this town board, please be the one that actually solves this ongoing problem. Don't kick the can down the road like it has been for the last couple of administrations. So let's please get this done. Yes. You're on the right track. I truly appreciate everyone's efforts. All 5 of you up here have had conversations with you about this exact topic. And I told you, some of you a couple of years ago, I'm not going to go away until I move out of this town to make this go away. This is an issue that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to stay with it. And I thank you, Luciana. I thank you, Serge. You've done a great job. And always, Susan, you've been great. You've been a perfect person to this for the Parks and Rec Commission. Thank you.
Thanks, PJ.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jim Flandro. I live up on Mark Road, so I'm dealing with the detour of the old compound bridge being closed. For a while, we did have a sign up there that would tell people the speeds, and we were having a lot of traffic coming through, but they were driving the speed limit because I could see their sign. It's been taken away for a couple days from last week, and now people are speeding up the street. So for safety, we would either want the sign to come back, telling the people to speed on it. Speed bumps, I know I spoke to David about that before the light got put in. So maybe we could get speed bumps going up that would slow traffic down. It's just a lot of traffic. It takes me sometimes over a minute to get out of my driveway. So hopefully the board will look into that, let the agencies know, put the sign back, to slow people down and whatnot.
Dave.
I'm going to tell traffic right now.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The other question is, if the bridge isn't finished within that time frame of the spawning, what happens? Does that detour stay in place? So we're going to have that for over a year at that point?
I think well,
yeah,
so
that's
that's my question. So, or is there a way that they could do a temporary temporary bridge again over what they were working on and stuff like that. So you could do the same thing that you had with the lights or stuff. That's something to look in with the little bit of delay that we've had with the bridge and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Supervisor Ed Lackerman and the Town Board. I am Howard Gould, a proud Yorktown resident. My sincere thanks to Supervisor Ed Lackerman and the Town Board Controller Janelle McNeil and Deputy Town Controller David Wong for their dedicated and transparent leadership for presenting such a fantastic budget. Never said I never said it. I believe in a sensible growth that preserves our town's unique character. I am concerned that a large-scale development like building 3 or more stories tall could overwhelm our infrastructure. Roads, schools, and emergency service, increased traffic congestion, and pollution from new projects could severely delay emergency service and directly affect health of our elderly and children. Our water and sewer systems are not designed for a dramatic increase in population, and this type of development erodes the small town feel we all cherish. I am also concerned that chopping down more trees that could lead to a runoff and flooding, which affects us all within the town of Yorktown. I am here tonight to talk about powerful tools that I believe could help us avoid these problems. I am no AI expert, but I know the value of good data. I believe we can use this existing AI to better understand Yorktown's growth, demonstrate why I oppose to the proposed Navajo project and ground-mounted solar farms. Instead of planning to growth, what if we used AI to help us prevent these problems? What if the town board were to input Yorktown's history, population, land use, roads, and environmental data all the way back to 1788 to the present into an AI program? This AI could analyze past zoning changes, commercial development, and school enrollment. Most important, it can simulate the negative impacts of new programs, showing us advanced new homes would increase runoff of how many minutes it could add to an ambulance response time. Deputy Supervisor, do you agree with the plans of the federal government should allow AI to handle medical information and care, and also allow Social Security to be privatized? The output would be a powerful stimulus tool showing the different scenarios. I recommend the town board explore the tool Better Future. Thank you for your time and consideration. And I pass the rest of the time to the person behind me, but I know it's not allowed.
Thanks, Howard.
Good evening. My name is Peter Santhanam. I live in Central Street. I've been a resident for 32 years in Yorktown. And this is only the second or third time I'm coming here to this board, which means what I have to say is something I care about. That's why the preset. As you're probably aware, there is a new 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Hanover and Underhill. And this was put there, I believe, because there were a couple of accidents prior to that in a short time period. Somebody thought, let's put a 4-way stop sign, the problem will go away. The thing which you should really take into account is that 95% of people crossing the intersection, they're going straight on Hanover. You are now forcing them to stop at that point because there is a stop sign there. And if you also think about, there is a stop sign near the fire station, so which is just a short distance from this new stop sign which is there. So nobody driving on a big road like Hanover is going to say, oh, I'm going to stop again in the next one, right? So I think you have made the problem complicated to facilitate 2 or 3 guys who are coming from the side street and they didn't obey the law or whatever, and they got into the accident, and that's the reason why it happened. So from my point of view, because I take that role every day, this is an overkill for what you need to do to put 4-way stop sign there. So let me just leave it at that and see if we can go back to the way it was or do something else, because this is forcing, particularly we have lots of churches and synagogues in the neighborhood. Just imagine on Sunday morning, everybody from the church goes through the stop sign. There's a long line right there. Okay, so my only request to you is reconsider the four-way stop sign at that point. Okay, and by the way, I work with the AI, so.
Good evening, Supervisor Lachterman, members of the town board. I'm here again to continue the conversation about the Granite Point subdivision and the proposed development on the promontory in the Amawak Reservoir. It actually extends into the reservoir, and of course, the Amawak provides the drinking water for 36,000 Yorktown residents. So thank you, Supervisor Lachterman, for meeting with Supervisor Scarano in Somers. But basically, he said, or you said, that it's out of their hands. The project was approved 30 years ago, and, there's nothing they can do locally. It's with the state. I was able to locate minutes from a regular town board meeting from November 2003, albeit 22 years ago. Resolution 473, which asked New York State DEP to review the Granite Point subdivision and review their position and review the project and consider purchasing the project the property for watershed protection. And it was passed unanimously by the then Yorktown Town Board. I was also able to locate some letters that were written by Councilman Nick Bianco in his capacity as a councilman to both the town board in Somers as well as the New York State DEP, essentially, again, asking them to take action to prevent the development and take control of the property and to preserve it, since it is so environmentally sensitive. In his letter to the town board, Councilman Bianco said, "I trust that you will unanimously vote to preserve the Granite Point Peninsula, keep toxic pollutants out of Amawak Reservoir, and safeguard the health and safety of all those who elect and keep us in office." So if it wasn't too late 20 years ago for the Yorktown Town Board and Councilman Bianco to urge action against this development, and I believe this was before the contamination of the site from the shooting range was discovered, I continue to have a hard time accepting that it's too late now to prevent this from occurring. So I'm asking you, the current town board, to resume your prior involvement in this matter, hopefully considering issuing a new resolution for intervention by New York State DEP and the Somers Town Board, and to take action with these agencies. The Granite Point site, critical environmental area and source of Yorktown's public water supply, needs protection. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Michael Hickens, a 12-year resident of Yorktown and candidate for town council. First, I want to echo Howard's comments, and I wanted to congratulate the town's finance department for achieving a clean opinion from the auditors. As the auditor stated at the outset of his report, their objective was to obtain, quote, reasonable assurance about whether these statements are free of material misstatement. There were no material misstatements, so our town received a clean opinion, which helps us certainly in many regards. So a heartfelt thank you and congratulations to the comptroller and her team for a job well done and for your leadership in steering that. So speaking of the audit, when the board asked about the size of our fund balance relative to the overall budget, the auditor noted that our fund balance is, quote, on the high end. With that said, we have $24 million unassigned in our fund balance. We currently have a number of water fountains, 4 of them that I know of, that are used for refilling reusable water bottles that are out of order. It would cost around $6,000 per fountain to repair these, but my understanding is that the Parks Department doesn't have the funds under its current budget. So my first thought was, could we use some of the fund balance for that kind of a thing so that Yorktown residents can refill their water bottles using our parks, which are one of Yorktown's principal assets. And then the other thought, since the CREST grant was just mentioned, maybe the CREST grant can be used to further that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Good evening. Ann O'Neill, Yorktown Heights.
Hi, Ann.
Hi. It was mentioned at one of the town hall meetings that the Beeline bus service along Route 6 would alleviate the increased congestion of possibly 500 more cars due to the Navajo development. It appears that the Beeline service is experiencing difficulties financially, maintenance of buses, and securing drivers and reduction in ridership. Some routes have been shortened or reduced, especially in northern Westchester. So there goes the plan for the traffic solution. It was asked at the town board meeting at the Navajo site will have electric power and solar panels on the roofs. There has been an increase in outages. July 1st and July 27th, Jefferson Village and the surrounding areas lost electricity for 5 to 6 hours. Also, brownouts occurred within that month. Also, last night, Jefferson Village lost electricity at 12:30 for 3 hours. What are we to expect with the addition of the Navajo's 242 units on an already taxing grid that is operating at its limit? More outages, or God forbid, there's going to be a fire. Within the last few years, Yorktown Heights has received applications for multiple level developments. Add these to the already constructed buildings, such as the mall and extended care facilities. One cannot forget the pictures of a fireman climbing a ladder to get to a raised deck at the fire in Jefferson Village. Thank God our community has skilled firefighters and policemen, and no one was injured. Like our neighbors in the Yorktown district, we too are in need of a state-of-the-art fire apparatus and firehouse to safely serve our community and firefighters. Yorktown residents, please pay attention. In the next few years, your taxes will increase. A much-needed state-of-the-art firehouse, an increase in the salaried firefighters, police, sanitation, paramedics, EMTs, ambulance, and teachers will be needed due to the increased population from the 500 East Main Street and Navajo site development. And according to the Assemblyman Matt Slater, expect an increase in your utility bill. NYSEC is asking for a 22% increase, Con Edison 11%, and gas 13%. Per Slater, this may be an increase of $300 each month for some households. The only person to benefit from this development is the owner of the Navajo site property. He will receive a monthly income on the rent from 242 units, while the rest of us will spend our monthly income on the increased taxes caused by the development. Town board members, in the very near future, your decision on the Navajo site will affect your future, my future, and the future of Yorktown Heights. Let's hope it's the right decision for our community. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Joanne Sillick, Yorktown Heights. At the July 15th meeting, I asked, how can you expand a road with no space to build? The supervisor said he would consider eminent domain. Homeowners and business owners would lose their properties for the sake of one developer. The supervisor did say he did not think he would go that way. So, if not eminent domain, then what? That question has not been answered, and I will not stop asking. Browsing on the town website, I saw a memo from the planning board regarding Navajo dated July 25th, just a week ago. The following are some comments written by Aaron Bach, planning board member and former town supervisor. These are not my comments. These are Aaron Bach. The property does, regarding Navajo, the property does not foster economic growth. Other than sewers, the project does not meet any of the foregoing criteria. The applicant claims considerable benefit from the project. A closer look shows it is not supported by actual evidence. It is claimed additional residents will economically benefit the JV Mall. There are no specific numbers in support of that. The wetlands play a critical role on managing drainage. Degrading wetland buffers will result in runoff into the lake. The traffic study includes property in Mount Kisco and has no relevance. The entire traffic report is unreliable. The full EAF states that the demand on police, fire, and EMS will be minimal. Really? That was my word. No correspondence from emergency service agencies have been provided. A project with 242 rental apartments in an area that was a summer home community is a variation from the community character. Does this property advance the goals of the comprehensive plan? The board does not conclude that it does. Before voting, I hope the board takes this memo from Aaron Bach into consideration. People say the board has the power, we don't. I beg to differ. On election day, we are each given a pencil to color or not color in little circles. Now that's extraordinary power. We have the power of the vote. The people are not accountable to the government. The government is accountable to the people. God bless that paper called the Constitution. Thank you for listening.
Mike San Marco, Cecil Drive, 33-year resident. Tonight I would like to encourage the town board to allow the overlay inclusion for the Navajo Fields project. For the past few weeks, the discussion about this project has been far too focused on the project itself and not focused nearly enough on the only issue that is actually before the town board at this point, and that's whether the developer has demonstrated enough potential value to the town to justify the inclusion, keeping in mind that the inclusion itself does not greenlight the project. It simply allows us to learn more about the development. If the board asks itself that simple question, is there enough here to make it worth our while to learn more about it? I think that's a resounding yes. Concerns having to do with traffic, wetlands, and sewer hookups need to be addressed by unbiased professionals. All that I've heard about those issues to date is public comment. There might be too much traffic. Peekskill might not allow the trunk line hookup. They're valid concerns, but I, for one, would like to see those issues addressed in a more thorough fashion before we make any decisions about this. Input gained from public forums such as this, while valuable, are only a piece of the puzzle. Ultimately, it is up to government to make decisions that serve the greater good and on behalf of those whose voices are heard and those whose aren't. This is not a referendum. You're not going to get input from 36,000 people on this issue. It's not a referendum, and it shouldn't be treated as such. I urge you not to short-circuit the process while there is still much to be learned. That being said, I want to applaud the board for maintaining a professional temperament throughout this discussion about Navajo in the face of many comments leveled at the board that, in my opinion, have been somewhat out of line. Thank you.
Brian Sillick,
Hi, Brian.
Jefferson Village. Mr. Supervisor and the town board, good evening. I had to get up to mention a couple of things. We're talking Navajo, or are we talking about Hidden Valley? Or are we going to have another name next week? Are we going to have a recycling center, or are we going to have a transfer station? But putting all these together, I did a little research, and looking where you want to move this to, the overlay, makes no sense. A number of reasons. It shouldn't even be built. The first one is the wetlands. 5% of the U.S., I researched it, our wetlands. The biggest is, of course, the Everglades in Florida. In researching it further, it is tough to build on the wetlands, and you do need permits. For hundreds of thousands of years, this land has been decomposing. A number of trees, who knows, there could be a dinosaur under there. But when these are built, quote unquote, it takes 7 months to 7 years for the ground to settle after you get rid of the water or keep the water off. In that time, when you put up a building, you're going to have mold, mildew, damp. Think about it. Also, as this settles, the foundations can crack, the buildings can lean, you're going to have some two-story, and we'll end up with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be in the overlay or built at all. But research this and tell me if I'm wrong. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Jamia Chandani, Yorktown Heights. I was only going to just briefly mention the Navajo Fields project because I know others have spoken about it, but I do want to address the comment about the overlay district. The overlay district is meant to enhance our commercial downtown areas. This project under consideration and the overlay district that we're talking about, where we're talking about adding to, not extending, important difference, adding to the overlay district is actually diluting our downtown Hamlet hub in Jefferson Valley. It's moving away from that commercial district. So in addition to the other comments, the comments that other speakers have already shared, and in comments including the Conservation Board and the Planning Board, I'm going to just again urge the board to vote no on including this parcel and project in the overlay district. So on another topic, I know you guys were talking about the refacing of the Triangle Center, and thank you for mentioning that those businesses are open. Those are existing businesses that have been in Yorktown for a while, and I think it bears repeating that we should be supporting them while the building is under construction. And in the vein of supporting our local businesses, I know you guys mentioned also the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for that. I want to encourage all of our local businesses and nonprofit leaders and civic members to explore the resources available through the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber. The Gateway Chamber is an organization where businesses and civic members work together to create opportunities for growth and well-being throughout our community. Supporting our local businesses, business community is essential, and the Gateway Chamber provides valuable networking and development opportunities that can help our businesses thrive. A number of Yorktown businesses have joined the Chamber since the beginning of the year, and we're continuing to add new members. It's worth noting that for the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber, we get a lot of our searches for our on the web from travelers, people coming up from New York City, people coming down from upstate. So it is a really great resource for anybody in the hospitality, restaurants, those types of businesses can really benefit from being from membership in the Gateway Chamber. And as it so happens, since you all brought up the subject, we are in the process of building out and putting together our directory for next year to produce a 2026 membership directory and community profile online. In fact, there's copies in the back of the room. And if anyone has any questions, I would be happy afterwards to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Charles O'Neill, Yorktown Heights. Just so you know that when I went to college, we had stone tablets and chisels. We didn't have AI, so I couldn't do a term paper with AI.
They're wrong anyway. Don't worry about it.
But I just wanted to say something. Sergio, the last time you had the meeting, we talked to the people. You said that nobody thanked you. But most of my adult life, I worked with the public. I was in EMS, went on, became a nurse, and I don't know if maybe had 10,000 patients altogether, and maybe 2 or 3 said thank you. So it's a thankless job working with the public, and here we are. Thank you, guys.
I feel it every day.
Neil Gross, Mohegan Lake. I also want to thank Dave Paganelli, who's not here tonight. I was really doing to beat him up tonight, but he's not here, so I can't do that.
I knew you were coming, Neil.
That's what it was. I live on Stony Street. That's with an Y or an EY. It doesn't matter, okay? It's on both ends. But Dave has done a great job helping us out as far as our local roads are concerned, especially on Highland Park. But there's one thing I want to ask. Does the Asplund contract, okay, is that something that Dave is responsible for? They're taking down the trees and trimming the trees? Because from where I am on Stony Street, these trees are just leaning right on the wires, okay? And once in a blue moon, they come by and they trim them, okay? But now you can actually see what's happening there. So if somebody could say to Dave, maybe somebody else would tell Dave, or whoever's responsible for Asplund, if they could fix that. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Motion to close courtesy of the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's do a little different. Susan, why don't you start?
Okay, Jay, on Keir Street, I agree with you totally. I think
Ladies and gentlemen, please, can we show a little respect for Councilwoman
the planning board worked a long, long time over many, many, many meetings dealing with the location of the HVAC equipment, all right? And said it should go on the roof. And then the town board undercut that. The town board resolution, and I have a copy here, basically says that the developer had to put up a cash bond. He had to put up $20,000 for the mitigation. I'll talk about the tree mitigation because trees were cut down, and $15,000 for the condensers. Nothing has been done on either of them, and I think it is time for the town to call the bond. The mitigation, because we have a tree law which says if you cut down a certain number of trees, you have to compensate. You either replant them or you do something else on site, and if you can't do anything on site, then you do it off site. And because, as you know, the site is very small, the developer agreed to do off-site mitigation to do removal of invasive species along the Mohansick Trailway, and they worked this out with the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, the volunteers who maintain the trails, and also the Yorktown Trail Town Committee. I think there's a serious Japanese knotweed problem. What I would like to propose to the town board, since the developer isn't doing it, and the knotweed is pernicious, okay? And it's not like you cut it down once and you're gone, all right? And I see Felicity here, who is one of the maintainers, and thank you very much for your service. She and Mike McDonald are the volunteers for the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, who would have a memorandum of understanding, an MOA with the town, and it's volunteers who maintain many, many of our town parks and trails, saving the taxpayers money because we don't have to hire laborers to do that. I asked Felicity for advice on how do we deal with this invasive that the developer is supposed to do, and even if we got him to do it, probably would do a half-assed job, is just, my sense. What I would, and she sent me some good information about what has to be done. It's a multi-year process, okay? And it's very convoluted. What I'd like to suggest to the board is that we call the bond, which is $20,000. We use it, we go out for an RFP,
Susan,
and we get a
Susan,
proposal.
If I could just shorten your speech a little bit. I did speak with our attorney already.
Yeah.
I spoke with our building department actually today. The property owner has not been in town. He was visiting his home country, and we've already put this into motion.
Well, what is he going to do?
I told him I want them up on the roof, or I want the bond.
Well, there are two things.
Okay.
One is what is the bond? One is the
Susan,
HVAC.
Let me get my legal opinions. So before you go any further and say something on tape that may really detract from our legal opinions, please rest assured, I had the conversation with Adam, I had the conversation with John Landy, and I had the conversation with John Tegeter. And I thank Jay because he gave me some of this information at the last meeting, And I went, I actually closed the gate today. It was open again, and I've been going by it every day and looking at it, and we have moved forward, and I would rather not say much more. I want legal to come up with exactly where we could go with it, and not put too much on the table until we have that advice.
It's two-pronged. The moving the condensers is one thing, and doing the mitigation is another thing. But I want to make sure if the mitigation ever gets done, it is done correctly and in a way that it's not just you cut it down today and it grows back tomorrow. I don't remember if I sent the board this link from the Cornell School of Agriculture. Thank you, Felicity, for passing this information on to me. We have to, if John Tegede is going to work with the applicant on the tree mitigation portion, there are two very different aspects of this, and these are planning board requirements, that it be done properly and that the developer have a plan that works with what the science says of what should be done, and it's a multi-year process if it's going to work. So,
To be quite honest, I don't think the 20,000 is enough.
I have no idea.
No, I don't think it's enough for what has transpired there. I think he should be made to pay more. But that's a whole other thing. You know, that is a planning board issue, and that's what I think will happen when and if the applicant shows up at the planning board. But he has been out of the country, and it was a death in his family or something like that.
This has been going on
I know.
for
You're not wrong.
For over a year, and this was talked about ad nauseum at the planning board. Okay, and I think the town board never should have done that. That's water under the bridge. Pat, if Pat, you still here? Thank you for your comments about the rec fee. I'm serious about getting this done. Okay, I was disappointed that we had this great joint meeting in January. Everyone knows there's a problem. It's time we really sat down. Thank you. I apologize for omitting the planning board, you know, in this thing, the absolutely critical thing. And we sit down, put our collective heads together, look at all the different laws, look at all our options, state law, local law, and then we come back to the town board with recommendations for what can be done. And I'd like to get this started, so I will have this resolution to the board, and I hope they'll vote for it for next week. In terms of, Peter, the four-way stop, I'm not a traffic person, and I don't know. So I defer to our patrol officer, who's our traffic safety officer, and Dave to work this out. Navajo, we've got to make a decision. This has been dragging on and dragging on. We have had hearings. We have finally got...
As I pointed out before, and it was actually pointed out by Joanne, who found it online, we were waiting for the planning board comments. They were very illuminating.
Very illuminating.
And our job, as been stated before, is to sit here and take all of the information. And listen, not rush to judgment.
You already voted.
Yes, you already voted. You said you were...
You already voted.
Yeah.
Well,
You
I
have to wait, but look, there are...
I've read the reports. So I know.
And we'll
You know
talk-
everything.
we'll-
We know.
Okay,
Well, I've read
so-
them. I've studied them.
Okay, so
We know.
All right.
We know.
I've
Okay,
done my
guys.
homework.
Guys,
All
we've
right, one
already-
other thing on Michael, on the water fountains. With $24 million in an unassigned fund balance, I think we can afford to spend $6,000, $12,000 to make our water fountains, you know, workable, and we don't have to wait for this $100,000 press grant.
Yeah, but that's not what's actually happening. We're actually redoing a lot of the work down there by Downing. I don't know if you're talking about the one on Downing, but there's a few. Yeah, there's a few of them, but we're doing like, there's the ramp for the handicap ramp that needs to be paved. There's a lot of work there, and Parks and Rec has just done resolutions in honor of that. And we are working to fix them. They're from like the 90s, so we need to actually fix the infrastructure. I mean, and get them.
6,000 each, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been told that it's $6,000 to fix it and make them workable.
No, 6,000 each.
But here's the other thing, though. But if I'm gonna open the ground, I want to make sure the pipes are okay. Because if I replace the fountains and we hook it up together, and then the pipe breaks or you start getting mud, your kids are not gonna drink out of that, and I don't want to fill my water bottle from that. So let's just, if we're gonna open the ground, can we just do it all right?
Okay, and
That's what's happening there, and we're working with Jim on that.
Yeah, and Neil, in terms of the trees, the town does have a contract with a tree company for tree removal, and I think Neil left. But this just has to be, Dave has to know about where there's a problem and whether it's town property or private property. That's always an issue with.
Well, Asfund is the company that does the work for Con Ed and NYSEG.
And I was going to answer.
So
I could answer that.
So are they?
I actually work for I work for Asplin for about 10 years. So Asplin is subbed out by Con Ed to clear the power lines and the secondary lines. They bring it down. They go 12 feet above the power lines, 8 feet back, and 10 feet below, and brings it down to the cable line and the Verizon lines. So the town has nothing to do with that. That is, they do a courtesy. They go around, they put a little something on your door. It says, we're going to be in the neighborhood for the next week. We'll be trimming lines. And it's Con Ed that pays them and does it all. So that was my 2 cents.
And I will make sure that I speak to our Con Ed representative. And if anyone sees them hanging, you could actually report them to my wife. She's a tree spotter in town when something's over a wire. But she's always telling me when there's something. But I'll call Con Edison. We have a representative for our district, and he will make sure that it gets taken care of.
And Asplin will not clear the lines for Verizon or cable.
Right.
They bring it down to low voltage and they leave it. So it doesn't matter if it's encrusted in vines, hanging over, they're not going to clean it up.
Right. Pat, you have anything else then?
I was going to answer that one, and then the other one was just Howard. Emergency services. In any one of these projects, they are asked for their input in all of it, whether it's police, fire, EMS, all of them. It's part of the process. That's all.
No, I think we've had the discussion of 385. Like I said, he's supposed to do off-site mitigation, and I think in today's age, we really need to figure out how much that off-site mitigation would cost, and if it's less than 20, then it's less than 20,000. Which is the bond he put up. If it's more than 20,000, then it's more than 20,000. He's going to have to do that, or he could simply do the work according to what he promised to do. And so, but like I said, that's just my opinion. I think it really boils down to the planning board to make that decision as to how they're going to proceed with that. As far as the AC units, I did speak with the applicant today. And he informed me that he's going to put a lock on it so this way nobody opens them or something like that. He was away. I told him he's got to get in front of the planning board and he's got to get everything straightened out because it's enough already.
Could you clarify that? Putting a lock on the gate is one thing, but is he committed to complying with the planning board's requirement to move the units up on the roof? That's the issue.
I told him that he needs to get it again. Not trying not to interfere with the planning board. That's their decision. He needs to get in front of them. I said, either you put them on the roof or you go in front of the planning board and you ask for a site plan amendment. That's it. Those are your two options. But that's likely in any development, anybody, in any municipality. That's the law. That's how you follow the process. He hasn't followed the process, and it's a shame because I really do like what he did with the property. But that's just my aesthetic input on it. He needs to get in front of the planning board, or he needs to move them. He needs to do the off-site mitigation, or he needs to come up with some kind of plan that the planning board is amenable with. It's in the planning board's hands, and we need to many of the comments, we need to facilitate this if it's not happening, and it has been too long. I don't disagree.
Planning board spoke. This planning board wanted them relocated, and the town board, when they passed that resolution, basically undercut the planning board.
We did not undercut the planning board. We bonded it, and we offered him, and we gave him a CO. Possibly it could have been a TCO instead of a temporary certificate of occupancy instead of a certificate of occupancy. And then what we did was we bonded the project, which is a common procedure that we do with a lot of people. In this instance, the applicant hasn't been forthcoming. But in many instances, when we do that, and we do that quite often, it works out. And we facilitate growth, we move things forward, and everything ends up working out in the end. And that's typical, and you know that. So to point out this one property and say, we undercut, this is a typical process that we go through.
If I may, Sergio, in fact, we were a little undercut because we were in favor of the TCO, and the planning board was in favor of the bonding and or at least planning department and the CO. I would have preferred a TCO because that could be pulled a lot easier than a CO could be pulled. But once again, they will go through the process, and planning. I think planning is equally as upset as we are. So.
And I honestly, I wanted a bond. When I mentioned what I felt should be the bond, everybody looked at me like that's a little steep. I'm like, yeah, it is a little steep, because we need to get this done.
Right. Sergio, you were absolutely right about it.
So anyway, am I up? Are you done?
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie, I wasn't expecting somebody to say thank you to me, but to be quite honest, nobody was happy. What I felt is nobody was happy to hear the news that the town was fiscally well. Nobody mentioned it. Now I got Now I got a couple of comments today, at least, and it was nice, to hear that. But I'm not looking for a thank you. Trust me, I do a lot, and I treat this as a full-time job, my councilman position, and you could ask anybody about how many things I do and where I am, and I never ask for a thank you. But it would have been nice amongst the flurry of criticism, which we've heard from a constituent today, that, some of the comments were out of line. It would also have been nice to say, hey, you know what, I really don't like that, but thank God we're doing well. Not thank you, thank God we're doing well. Thank God the town is in a fiscally good shape. It would have been nice. I don't have to hear it. I heard it. I heard it from Janelle McNeil. I heard it from a third party. Pretty proud of that report. PJ, the rec fees, 100%. I will tell you that Luciana is all over it. She's got more research. She sent me a text about all the towns and stuff. How'd you type all of that? I don't even know how you type that. I'm like a two-person. I'm like, yeah, what do you want? No, yes, I'll be there. That's a text.
AI is good at finding the code.
This was like, I was scrolling and the thing was like, whoa. I'm like, oh my God. And it contained a lot of information on how other towns facilitate their rec fees. And we're very well aware of the fact that, somebody comes in and gives us a pocket park, and it's wonderful. The pocket park is there, and 20 years from now, it's going to cost us 60, 70, 80,000 to change the monkey bars and to do a new slide or fix the baseball field. And where does that money come from? It really puts us, it kicks the can down the road. We get something today, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful, but down the road, now all of a sudden you got 30 pocket parks that need $70,000 in work each. And where does that money come from? And so that's a concern for us. And like I said, Councilwoman Howard is just all over this. You had to see this text. It was about, I don't know.
It slowed my phone down. It was so long.
It was like, I couldn't even scroll.
There's a lot of towns doing it.
I mean, I think everybody else said what they had to say, so I'm going to pass it on, all right?
All right. I know Luciana didn't have anything, so I'll just hit a few quick things. Yeah, PJ, I also think that, it bears saying, since we were at Granite Knolls today with the pickleball, I know how much time and effort you volunteered up there and put in along with the rest of the rec commission, so thank you. It looks amazing. We were walking the parking lot today trying to figure out that situation, but that's a whole nother thing.
Let's not bring that up today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim from the Mark Road, I did text our traffic officer to try to get that sign back up, and I'll jump down to Peter. The four-way stop sign was looked at by traffic safety quite thoroughly. One of we have a civilian member who was a traffic safety officer for the city of White Plains, Bill Bertram, as well as we have two traffic safety officers in town, Max Elworth and Rob Rohr. Although that'll change, I think that Rob will be moving into the schools come September. And then we also have Dave Paganelli that sits on that, and I sit in on the meetings as well, but more as a liaison versus an active member. So they did study it. There have been accidents. They are quite concerned about the accidents that were there. Matter of fact, one of our town employees who works down at the nutrition center, his wife got T-boned out on a Saturday by someone coming up. And I know it seems like it's far and few between, but there's a concern. And I will say, as I am your neighbor, and we live right there, I take that road every day too. And I do avoid it as the churches are letting out. I go down to Front Street and out because it is a very hard way to go. The traffic does build up on any church being let out, any of the services. Howard, thank you. On the budget, we will be starting the actually, we've already started the process, but I will be talking with Janelle. We'll be spending my birthday going over everything with our department heads. Sarah, for the Granite Point, I'm wondering, did you find anything that we got a reply from New York State? You could talk offline on that. Maybe Diana, do you know if they ever replied to Nick Bianco? I know that might be a little before your time. Yeah, it's worth looking into because it might have been, hey, yeah, too bad it was approved 8 years ago, and there's nothing we could do because the approval's in hand and they don't want to go there. But we could look, and we could definitely look at drafting a resolution and trying to see if they'll listen to us. But my experiences with the state on their hearing problems are not good. And Mike, as Luciano put in, they're looking at all the infrastructure on those waters, but Jim already has them priced out through Granger, and they are ready to go, but they want to make sure that we're not, and it's the second time today, I'll evoke the words of Tom Diana, get her done right, and it's important to get it done right. Do it once, do it well, don't look back at it, even if it takes a little delay. And, I thought of that while we were up at Granite Knolls, because we had to redo the pickleball courts there, and the first time around the drainage wasn't proper, and now it is, and that's important. And the Beeline, yes, they're having trouble, but I think they're trying to address it's more fair beating. I think millions of dollars a year, that they've been looking at. I know County Executive Jenkins has looked into that as well. The brownouts in the electric, I'm going to blame solely on the state. They took Indian Point out of commission way before it was ready, and that is an ongoing problem. And now we're sort of stuck holding the bag, trying to figure it out. I don't know if there's a solar part of a project that hasn't even gone into an area that we know that it could even be looked at. But that's one of the things, and I think that goes back to Mike's comments. I don't know if he's still here. It's in the back, I think. That goes back to Mike's comment about, explore every aspect of it. And, I had a conversation today with someone from the village who, was exploring some of the things as well on their own, especially on the drainage. I can tell you, I have spoken to the schools. There's this theory that we're busting at the seams. They say the unfunded mandates are more of an issue than the school sizes, the population size. We actually have a reduction in population, and according to the superintendent of Lakeland Schools, when she was a principal 10 years ago, the numbers are a lot lower than they were back then. So there are misconceptions. I think that
when I graduated high school, it was 425 people in my class.
Yeah, and I think
just our class.
Just your class.
Now you're lucky if it's 250.
Kids are expensive.
They are, but I will say that any of the projects that come in, one of the things that balance out is there are taxes that go into it. And I think that, I was talking to the assessor about a couple of the projects that we're looking at to try to look at anticipated ratables, as they're called. And, he can't project what the valuations would be that far along. But I said, well, say it was built today, what would a project like Granite Knolls bring in? And he was looking at, not Granite Knolls, I'm sorry, Hidden Valley, and we'll talk about the name, or Navajo, which is named after the street. Hidden Valleys is a project, and if all the projects around have, people still call like the the project up on the corner of 118 and 202, the DeVito project, and it's not. It's just keeps moving. But those are just names. It's really the project itself. But I think it was estimated at 1.25 million for school taxes, and then another. Is there something crawling around?
What is it?
Oh, cricket. And too bad my puppy isn't here. She'd try to eat it. And then Ken's going to let it out the door. And then there's a projected possibly.
Little grasshopper or something. Very large grasshopper.
What is happening?
Is it I think it's a grasshopper.
Projected another $250,000 into town tax. So there are benefits there, but we, once again, and it goes back to what Mike said. We do have a responsibility to look at all these things, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we're looking at. But I found the planning board memo to be very very informative. I also found some of the statements to also be, not quite backed up. So I would like to, I'm going to sit down with Aaron, who's a resident of that area. So, and ask him to pull apart some of what he gave, because that's, like I said, that's our job, to make sure, look and see. And there are more stages as well, if, past this one, if it does move. But that's, we need to chase down the leads.
Excuse me, Supervisor, can I just add one thing about what you just said? So the schools also passed the budget to expand some of the schools, because we did lose French Hill, just to accommodate so that we can offer more for the kids, and there will be more classrooms and whatnot. So I think also, I just want to be very clear that we're all also growing into these shoes, and we are paying attention. Like, do we need to go out and buy more shoes, or can we fit these shoes first before we start looking at other things coming in? I think that one of the things that I thought was really impressive is that we are getting information and feedback about what the area looks like in terms of what it would do if it was in the overlay. As far as everything else, traffic and whatnot, I'm noticing I have 2 drivers and 4 cars. Like, I can only imagine once my children have their licenses, there's no $500 cars that don't have a front door that opens that I can trust my kids to drive on 84 with, because she lives in Pennsylvania. Like, she's going to need a car. So the traffic is happening. The schools are expanding, all ready to support what we have here. So we're looking at all of those things as well. So even when the teachers tell us, oh, we're down to 1.5 students a family, we're looking at also what our kids that are in the school districts now need, and why we're expanding in those places too. So I do want to think that, like, it's not just the letters, it's also us on the street talking to people and looking for ourselves as well.
Jan, thank you. The Gateway Chamber is great. I am a member. They did merge with the Yorktown Chamber, if anyone did not know that. So the Yorktown Chamber felt that they were growing past what they could do with volunteers, and they decided to merge with the Gateway and combine resources, and it's been a very, very good move for them, and very successful as of now. The Osceola Overlay District, actually, it's, when you talk about the overlay district here, it was done based on downtown business district. The Osceola, though, when it was brought forward through planning, was actually looked at as being part of a recreational overlay district. So there are recreational values of lakes, as the gentleman sitting to your left could probably tell you. And that was the main focus of starting the Osceola Overlay District. You do need businesses surrounding your recreational, but that was definitely a concern that they had. And the last one, Brian, there is no recycle, there is no transfer station. We took that out of our code. So I know you would question. Yes, we're getting sued over it, but it's the right thing for the town, and those are the decisions. And I will say, we cannot sit here and think about a decision based on getting reelected. It's not it's not doing justice for saying, look at the town and look at everything and go through all of the pieces. It would be very easy to say, hey, you know what? If I do this, it might hurt my chances of getting reelected, so I'm just not going to do it. But if it's the right thing for the town, you have to go through and consider it. I will say, in particular, I give a lot of credit to people going back 60 years who I was talking to someone who was a teenager back then, and she was saying, I was out picketing Jefferson Village when they were proposing to build Jefferson Village. And you know what? I was wrong.
Yeah.
No, she's not. She's not.
Her name was Joanne.
She is not living there right now, but she still lives in Yorktown, and she's still very involved in the community. But she said, you know what? I was wrong, because it's a great community and it has done a lot for the town of Yorktown. So, and it was a different time then from what it was, and Patrick could tell you that it was a different thing. And if you go back into the 50s, it was a different time when it was past cow pastures on 202.
That's all there was farms. There was 5,000 homes. My parents were here, and they didn't want it, but it came, and it's a blessing.
But I think it's very important that we realize that if we don't look at the projects and don't look forward to see what can this do, what could this help, and what could it hurt, what are the challenges, we're not doing our job for you. And I appreciate the importance of it in the decision making when you fill in your dot. And you know what? I always tell people, look at the whole, but if something hits you that hard that you want to vote against a person for it, that is why we have elections, free and fair.
Absolutely.
And the Constitution, absolutely.
And it's so much fun being up here.
So I will once again stress that, and I'm going to say thank you to my board, because they will sit here, they will listen to it. We were listening to stuff at 2:30 in the morning once, right? We've been past midnight. Yes, matter of fact, my birthday, I turned 59 in that meeting. So we really put a lot into it. The board said they treat it as a full-time job, and we do. Mm-hmm. It is quite important to everyone here, because we are all part of the community. Every decision we make affects us. And Susan in particular, living in the village, she's in tune to that side of town. So, but we will try to do our best. And when you feel we're not, please feel free. Yeah. All right. So that's it. Well, let's move on. Now, Lou said she was good.
Okay. Public hearing.
All right. So we're.
Don't squash it.
You can't do that.
Ken, you didn't catch it and let it go, Ken? I thought you were going to scoop it up and get rid of it.
It looked innocuous.
I mean, I'm okay. I'm glad it's a grasshopper, not something else.
Oh, wow.
He did say his parents were here when there were his cows.
That's old Yorktown right there.
That's it. He was here when there was.
All right, let's get it on the. Hey, you should have taken a picture with it.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Get home safe.
Pat saves the grasshopper.
Get home safe, please.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh.
So much for what I know.
My dog was running.
He goes, it's a praying mantis.
My puppy was running around with a cicada in its mouth the other day, and it was like.
All right, public hearing. Let's
so we're going
to
to convene a public hearing to consider a proposed wetland permit application submitted by the Mohegan Lake Improvement District to administer treatment of Lake Mohegan with an automated system of biological treatments. Kenny, I'm sorry. Get on up and give us a rundown.
Do your thing.
Okay. Ken Belfer, President of the Mohegan Lake Improvement District. I'd like to start by acknowledging a couple of the people that are here. I see Lauren Hauk from the Mohegan Colony Association Board, and Mary Riley over on the other side from the Secretary of the Mohegan Colony Association. Patrick Comiskey from Lake Mohegan Park, Section 1. And then from the Mohegan Lake Improvement District Board, I have Laura Kaspar, the Vice President, and Felicity Arango, a board member. So, I only have an hour presentation, so I'm glad it's early.
Thank God.
But I'll try to run through it
Diana
quickly.
went through it. It's actually 2.5, I heard.
Okay.
Are we going
so,
swimming?
so the problem. Lake Mohegan
That's what I'm trying to clean up.
has a very substantial amount of soft muck at the lake bottom. It was measured in a study as being an average in the deep parts of the lake of 20.5 feet deep of soft muck. Imagine sinking into that. And that muck is nutrient-rich organic matter that's been accumulating for probably 150 years, at least at the rate that's caused the problem.
Please don't explain what nutrient-rich is.
And excessive nutrients at the lake bottom contribute to the overgrowth of algae and aquatic plants. And algae is, of course, our main concern. So, where did this all come from? And just as a bird's eye view, and I'll credit Laura from the history presentation on Lake Day from 2024 with a lot of this information, but there was intensive development. We hear the talk about the Navajo Project and other projects, but there was intensive development in Mohegan Lake in the 1880s, 1890s, even earlier. And this is just a few of the things like the St. Nicholas Hotel, 500 beds, 1881. The Lake Mohegan Military Academy, which famous folks like Robert Moses attended. These were all on the shore of Mohegan Lake. And the Mohegan Farm, 350 acres, a half a mile of the 1 mile shoreline of east shoreline of the lake was a dairy and poultry farm. Now back in the 1800s, early 1900s, they didn't have the septic systems we have today. They didn't have the awareness of what you do when you do construction to prevent runoff. So these were all contributors to the problems, which started showing up probably in the 1930s in Mohegan Lake. So, what we're trying to do is something different than what we've been doing. It's a trial of what I call probiotics for the lake. It's the use of natural bacteria that normally eats away at muck on a lake bottom. But it's augmenting the natural bacteria with additional amounts that in an aerated environment, and you know that we have a very effective aeration system now, can speed up that process. So we're looking to install a temporary automated delivery system to get that done, and we're looking to conduct a study of its impact and effectiveness while we're doing that. We've been working with DEC for probably 2 years now on this, and this, if approved by the town of Yorktown and then subsequently if approved by DEC, will set a precedent for New York State. So it will kind of be a test for the whole state as to whether this is deemed something that's effective and worthy of being replicated elsewhere. The bacteria product is produced by Pure Ag, a Salt Lake City, Utah company. DC reviewed the strains of bacteria in the formulation and said, well, we don't like 2 of the 13 or 14 strains. They took that out, even though they sell that everywhere else in the country, and created a new strain just for New York State. DC then said, well, how do we know this isn't going to be very harmful to anything? We need to see toxicity testing done on this, acute toxicity testing. So this was done at 4,000 times the dosage rate on the species that DC requires, a flathead minnow and a freshwater invertebrate. And the bacteria strains were deemed non-toxic from the toxicity study done at an approved, a lab approved by DEC. This is all, and this is just the strains of the bacteria. It's difficult to see here, but this is all in the attachments to the environmental assessment form and the wetlands permit application.
So Ken, real quick, you deliver something to the bottom of the lake, and what does it do? Does it make it, dirt, and gets rid of the soft muck?
Like it neutralizes the bacteria?
Theoretically,
at the end of the day, what's
yeah.
at the bottom of the lake?
Theoretically, it'll
muck,
be
right?
it'll be more like sand than like soft organic.
Okay, so you're getting
muck.
rid of the.
It'll be the.
But you said there's 21. It's the muck is 21 feet deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not going to happen next year.
No. It's 3 years.
Thank
right?
you.
It's 3 years.
But so, my question is how would it penetrate something like how would it penetrate 21 feet? It's interesting. I'm just curious on if you're not digging and you're not drilling and you're not doing anything like that, how does it penetrate 21 feet of, pretty much solid?
It's not solid. It's very
mushy,
soft,
so I think
but
it's soft,
but a quarter of an inch at a time.
Yeah, and it turns.
It's not exactly a quarter of
Doesn't
an
it
inch
just
at a
change
time.
the composition? By killing the live parcels, it'll change the composition of it. So it doesn't actually go away. There'll still be 21 feet of sand or dirt, but it kills the composition, so you're getting rid of all the live.
It'll be much less.
You have 5 feet of
after
sand.
Bacteria eats away at the organic stuff. Yeah,
So you'll basically have 3 or 4 or 5 feet of sand at the bottom instead of 21 feet of muck.
Interesting concept.
Right.
All right. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Interesting concept. So, how is this done? It's an automated system, so it requires equipment. It requires 1,000-gallon tanks that are brew tanks. So we're setting up a microbrewery of a sorts in Lake Mohegan, or 2 of them, that
Muck
use 2.25 cups of the bacteria mix, and the bacteria is mixed with sugar and food grade collagen as some food to brew it in this 1,000-gallon vat, and the machines then pump the liquid that it's brewed in, which is lake water, out into the lake through lake bottom tubing with emitters approximately every 135 feet.
It's like an irrigation system.
So that's pretty much what I've just said. I won't go through this slide, but there's a lot more details in the attachments.
And the attachment for the irrigation system at the bottom, or the plug-ins, would just be like you would be dropping little valves to get it everywhere?
There are lines which I'm about to show you, and there are emitters on the lines, like a little opening every approximately 135 feet. So it's pumped under pressure through the tubing and comes out of the holes in the tubing. The size is set based on the length of the tubing and the depth of the lake. It's all a engineering calculation as to how it's done.
Okay.
The sites are Mohegan Beach Park, which is a town park district, and I just showed you the view shed for impact on view. The left photo is the view from the road, where it's going to be. It's down below. It's really, at this time of year, it wouldn't be visible at all. When the leaves are down, you might see the top of the equipment. The right side is the view from a dock there, and you see this garage-like building with a garage door. The equipment will be sited just to the right of that building, behind where you see all the boat racks. So it's very hidden between that garage and the property fence there.
I think the value that it could potentially yield with, cleaning up the lake far exceeds whatever bit of corner you see of it.
That's what we believe.
Yeah.
The second location is the Mohegan Colony Association Beach. This is currently the view from the road, a picture taken this afternoon. That's one of our 2 aeration sheds, and the equipment will be located behind the aeration shed. And there's a lot of growth between that and the lake, so there'll be virtually no view from the lake and virtually no view from the road. This is a diagram showing 2 things. One, the lines that will be on the lake bottom when installed that it will feed from. The yellow areas that you see at the north and the south northeast and southwest are a 200-foot buffer from the DEC wetlands that exist at those areas of the lake. And we're careful not to treat too close to the wetlands. And this is just a map from DEC that shows those two wetlands they categorize as A7 and A8, and they're 55 acres and 35 acres respectively. However, DC changed their wetland regulations January 1st, and now pretty much all lakes in New York State are considered wetlands. So it's no longer the wetlands that they have mapped. It's all bodies of water over, I think it might be 11 or 12 acres are now considered wetlands. And everybody's grappling with what does this mean, including DEC. So for now, what they've come up with is any area that's 7 feet deep or shallower in a lake are considered wetlands. We had already designed this where the emitters would be in areas of the lake 10 feet deep or deeper, because that's the area that we need to target anyway. So
you're past the shallow ends, you're out of the wetlands.
yes, I'm hoping
That's the
DEC will not have an issue.
You're working
with
hand
this.
in hand with DEC?
Well, we've been trying to. At first, they really wanted us to go away. They were not interested in this. They felt like, well, we don't have any system for permitting something like this. So
I know, it's like, we don't know how to do it, so just forget about it.
yeah, but we were persistent, and it took help from Senator Harcum and his staff at a number of points to get them to pay attention again, because each time they'd ask us to submit more information, whether it was to toxicity studies or something else, and we'd submit it, and then they just wouldn't respond after that. This is just identifying the length of the lines. They range from 1,500 feet to 1,800 feet coming from the two stations. This is a view on the left, shows the two pieces of equipment. One is the 1,000-gallon tank, and one is a shed that houses pumps and electronic controllers. This is a timed operation, so there's a 16-hour brew cycle. So first you're pumping lake water in to the tank, then you're feeding the bacteria mix.
That water looks really clear.
Yeah, it's not Mohegan Lake, unfortunately.
Are you purchasing this stuff, or is this
No.
to be rented, or?
It's
Part of DEC?
It's the contractor's property.
It comes with the full contract, right?
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
just wondering, because I know that with my boys, when they kayak, we like scrub our kayaks, not to transfer stuff. So I'm wondering, like, are we going to get tubes from somebody else's lake, and we're going to go from having a muck problem to a buck problem or something?
Yeah, it's all the contractor's
Okay.
property that
Hopefully
they'll
that's
be
in the fine
using, and
print.
at the end of the 3-year contract, they'll be taking it out, presumably, unless
And then
we
whatever.
renew. If this turns out to be a tremendous success and we've reduced lake bottom muck by a very measurable amount, and it's having beneficial impacts, we might
drop
say,
it all?
hey, we need to keep
What
doing
do
this.
you anticipate, your kind of like best case scenario in terms of muck removal and turning it into sand? What are you looking at 3 years?
I don't have a clue.
Appreciate your honesty.
For sure.
I would hope we would.
He took a deep breath. He's like,
I
I
would,
don't have a clue.
I would hope we might see a foot,
Okay.
which would be something measurable after 3 years, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's
We'll see.
totally-
So I won't go into the detail of this. This is just showing the green. The blue is the existing garage at Mohegan Beach Park. The green is the size and position of the equipment. I have the same thing for the Mohegan Colony. And our request. The first thing I'm told has already happened. Designate town board as lead agency. I believe that was part of your June 6th vote. The second thing, copy DEC on all actions, because they said that this needs to be a coordinated review with them, and I understand that the wetlands permit application and the EAF were forwarded to them
They might ask us for something else.
as a
but-
referral. The third is to approve our FEAF with the finding of no significant adverse environmental impacts. We don't believe there are any, and we hope there will be positive environmental impacts ultimately. And last is to approve our wetlands permit request, subject to the issuance of the necessary DEC permits. So.
Right, and Ken, I do have the planning board saying no issues, no objection, and also our conservation board saying if the treatment is not successful, there are no known adverse environmental concerns. If successful, it could be used as an example for potential treatments in other community lakes and statewide. The conservation board is in favor of your proposed biological treatments for Mohegan Lake. And you hopefully being a trendsetter to cleaning our lakes. I know the Finger Lakes and a lot of the other lakes around are experiencing this problem, and it's taking away some of the natural resources of our beautiful state. So at this point, we could open for public comment. Yes, you can. Anyone for public comment? If you're in favor, PJ, you might.
I've been here, so I stayed here the whole time. You got to at least hear me.
All right.
So Ken has been great with keeping our entire community informed of what's going on. Ken and Laura, they've let a lot of us participate in some of these meetings with some of the vendors to talk about it. I'm not nearly as informed as Ken and Laura is, but I am somewhat informed about it. And unfortunately, every time Ken sees me on our lake, he gets barrage question from me on this topic.
I believe that.
Yes. So just want to make it clear, like this, from my understanding, this isn't new technology. This isn't a new application. This has been used throughout the country and used very successfully. It's just we happen to live in a state that has very archaic environmental rules.
No.
And and unfortunately the DEC, who, in case they're hearing me, I love you, DEC. You're great. I love working with you. I do a lot of work with the DEC.
You're waiting outside for your PJ.
They tend to be stuck in their ways. And if it causes them to use a little bit of that gray matter between their ears, sometimes they don't really like to exercise that muscle too much.
They like the copy and paste.
Yes, they like to maintain the status quo. So I in the straw poll that I've conducted around at least my community, everybody is very much for this. I think this town would do a great service to the entire state. Similar to what we tried, which was basically putting spit in the ocean with the last chemical we tried that the DEC program. It was the alum treatment was a great attempt, but the dosage rate wasn't even close to where it should have been, as explained to me by the people that are a hell of a lot smarter than me. But this is something where I think we should definitely get in front of, and I think it's the benefit of the town, it's the benefit of the county, and the amount of lakes we actually have in this county and the lakes that are having this kind of issues. And I think it's just going to be a great for everybody. And let's not forget, the town is a property holder along the lake. So we have a vested interest because eventually somebody's going to get some trust and agency money to do something at that Rock Hill Park.
Working on it, PJ.
Thank you.
Maybe New York forward money.
Yeah, New York forward money is exactly what we need.
Dan, you have anything to prolong this, or are you all good?
No, we love it.
Ken, I got a question for you. What happens if we pump up the volume on the dosage here? Is that not like...
I don't think you can. We might blow up the muck.
You know what I mean? I mean, you said it's a cup and a half, and it's in the brewery that's open all night, and...
Well, first of all, would be the question of can my budget afford to pump up the volume?
Gotcha.
But these are the actual recommended volumes from the
New York State.
No, from the supplier
AG.
of this. And I will contradict one thing that PJ said, which is I think he was thinking of alum when he was saying it's used all over the country and everywhere, and it's just New York State that's archaic, and that is the case with alum, and we're working on legislation to correct that. But this is relatively experimental. It has been used in other states. Laura visited at least 2 lakes in Michigan that used it. Lake Peekskill used it because it's been used under the radar. Years ago when DEC was asked, they said, oh, we don't require permits for that. It's natural bacteria. So people got away with it. And then suddenly with Lake Peekskill, they woke up and said, what? You're treating a lake with bacteria without a permit from us? You have to apply for a permit. So they applied for a permit, and they were denied the permit. So that's when we started a process with DEC saying, why did you deny the permit? What can we learn from that? And what would you need in order to approve a permit? And there were a lot of problematic issues with Lake Peekskill, although the people around the lake felt it was a really super success for their lake when it was being done. They're waiting on us now, and it's a different contractor than the one that did Lake Peekskill, to be the pioneer. And if DEC approves us, then they're going to put in their application so that they can get back to doing it again. But it's,
now you're going to help them become successful as well.
yeah. As far as I know, this particular contractor, Everblue Lakes, is the only contractor that does this particular system. The typical way bacteria, which has been used for decades, mostly in like golf courses and small ponds, you basically take rabbit pellets, or some kind of powdered or granular form, and you just throw it in. And maybe it takes and maybe it doesn't take. This particular contractor came up with a system for brewing it on site in your own lake water in an aerated tank with food that helps it grow so that it takes in your lake water before you deliver it. And his first method was then to just pump it from the brew tank into a boat and go out, and the way they do aquatic pesticides, just spray it into the water from the boat. He said, wait a minute, we're trying to impact the lake bottom. How much of it's going to get down to the lake bottom and survive? So then he came up with this system of an automated delivery at the lake bottom. I don't think anybody else has this system. So it is experimental in some ways.
I think he used AI to find it.
So
I think it's great.
Ken, real quick, just you said it's experimental. Like, look, I'm all for it, but how do you guys test and monitor it weekly, monthly? God forbid, play devil's advocate, something goes wrong and you kill minnows. How fast can you undo it?
So the system can be shut off instantly. I mean, you just shut off the power to the system, and it's no longer pumping water into the tank and no longer adding bacteria to a mix and pumping it back out in. So it can be stopped immediately. DEC is going to want to look at this very closely. Their concern is, are you going to cause any potential harm? We've hired a consultant to help us design a study that will be ongoing before the treatments start and during the treatments to assess, one, are there any negative impacts that no one has foreseen? And two, is it really doing anything good? Are we having any success from it? So we will see. I can't stand here and guarantee that this is going to work, but I feel like
100%.
We have to give it a shot, given what we're facing with the lake.
But is someone monitoring that daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? Or you don't know?
Well, we don't know how the contractor
I love your honesty.
The study hasn't been finalized yet, but my guess is at the start there'll probably be some weekly monitoring that will then go to bi-weekly, and
Gotcha.
the treatment period is May 1st through October 15th, because the bacteria doesn't flourish when the water is 50 degrees or cooler. So it's got to be during the season when the water is warm.
I think some of the concerns, like minnows dying, there are people that go out on the lake on a daily basis that would see if there was like an influx of dead fish floating around.
Just play devil's advocate.
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
I hear you. And this has been vetted in other lakes, just not this delivery. So, yeah.
Ken, I just want to say thank you to you, to Laura, to the Mohegan community for the invaluable volunteer work that you do to try to save this lake over multiple years. And being creative and reaching out across the country and trying. If the first possibility doesn't work, you're always looking for a second or a third, but you've never given up. So I thank you for everything that you've all done for all of the communities.
And
Thank
Susan hits a valuable point, Ken, which is the tenacity that you have.
Yeah.
You do not give up. You want your, and neither do any of the people at the lake. I know Lake Day is hard for me to get to, but when I get there, I really enjoy it. And last year I was ready to join the fishing contest, but some little kid like 3 feet tall, caught this big fish. I'm like, I'm out.
I think I started a trend with all the thank yous tonight. This is
Maybe Sergio, but
anyway.
It's a great deal. So I would like to make a motion to close a public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to move forward, since we do have comments back already, I'd like to make a motion to approve the wetland permit.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good
There you
luck.
go. Yes.
Keep up the good work.
Keep us posted. Ken, now, are you going to wait till May 1st to start, or are you going to start prior?
It's already started.
It's a 24-hour brewery in Yorktown.
Two.
Two, sorry. Yeah, two.
Obviously, we can't start without DEC permits.
Yeah.
And one of the requirements of the DEC permit process was that they don't really recognize the town's wetlands permits, but what they do recognize or have required is the secret process,
Yeah.
the EAF. I'm going to need to send them documentation that you've made a negative declaration finding.
You didn't vote on a negative.
Yeah. There was a draft resolution that I saw that Dan had prepared. I don't know if
Yeah, do we have a
there was
copy of that?
It's at the end of the agenda, so
Yeah.
I will get you out.
We'll get there.
Okay, so
Okay.
So we'll
Come
get
on,
you some of
guys.
the
So that's
secret stuff.
so I can't
Thank you
submit
for keeping us honest.
complete application to DC without
You know,
showing we've been through the secret
you know,
process.
let me
Let's do it right now.
let me get you out of the way here. Resolution approving Mohegan Lake Improvement District Wetland Permit, WP 02725, Town of Yorktown, New York. Whereas the Mohegan Lake Improvement District, as applicant, applied to the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown for wetland permit approval under Chapter 178 of the Town Code of the Town of Yorktown, and whereas the applicant proposes to treat Lake Mohegan with an automated system of biological treatments to accelerate the decomposition of accumulated organic matter and lake bottom organic sediment, and whereas a detailed description of the biological treatment methods and the associated construction proposed or included as attached to the environmental assessment form, and whereas pursuant to Chapter 178 of the Town Code of Yorktown, Town of Yorktown Town Code entitled Freshwater Wetlands, a permit is required for proposed action in which the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown serves as approval authority. And whereas the applicant has submitted Town of Yorktown permit application WP 027-25 dated June 2, 2025, and whereas the applicant has submitted a full environmental assessment form or an FEAF dated June 2, 2025 with attachments, and whereas the Town Board referred to the application to the involved boards and agencies and received and considered the following memoranda: Planning Board, Conservation Board, Town Engineer. Dan, make sure your copy of your recommendation gets in, because I did not see that in the folder. Whereas the proposed action has been determined to be an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and whereas the Town of Yorktown Town Board declared intent to be lead agency on June 6, 2025, and having received no objection, is therefore lead agency for this action, and whereas a public hearing was held open on August 4th, 2025, in order to
Just one thing, can we just say that a public hearing was held on August 4th, because you're not holding open the public hearing.
Okay, was held on August 4th, 2025, in order to solicit comments from the public regarding the proposed action, and whereas the Town Board has considered all reasonably related long-term, short-term, direct, indirect, and cumulative environmental effects associated with the proposed action, including other simultaneous or subsequent actions, and determined that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and now therefore be resolved that the following plans and documents are approved subject to the memoranda listed above and the below listed conditions. Plans and documents prepared by Everblue Lakes attached to the full environmental assessment form dated June 2, 2025. Be it further resolved that the freshwater wetlands permit is granted subject to the applicant satisfying the conditions set forth in this resolution, and be it further resolved that the permit shall be valid for a period of 3 years from date of this resolution, and that all work associated with the wetland permit shall be conducted in strict compliance with the approved documents, and be it further resolved that the applicant will provide the town board with a report stating whether the applicant has complied with the requirements of this resolution and the approved drawings by the end of the term of the permits, and be it further resolved that the permit shall automatically expire upon completion of work, and be it further resolved that the below listed conditions must be satisfied prior to the applicant beginning construction. 1. A letter from the town engineer authorizing the work to proceed. 2. The applicant agrees to allow periodic inspections by the town and its consultants. 3. No additional disturbances or modification to the approved plans is permitted without prior written approval from the town engineer. 4. A pre-construction meeting with the applicant's contractors and the town staff must be held prior to the commencement of work. The applicant must contact the town engineering department at 914-962-5722, extension 220, at least 72 hours in advance of the meeting date to schedule the pre-construction meeting. And 5. Provide any permits or authorizations required by New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for implementing the proposed project. I'm thinking, Ken, we may need one change here. You have 3 years from the passing of this resolution. I would like to see it maybe 3 years from the end of the season next year, which is October 31st, I believe. When does the season end? Or 3 years from the beginning, at least. Yeah. Because you want to, if it takes you...
We say 3 years from the commencement of work.
Yes. Our contract with Everblue Lakes is for 3 years, but we obviously haven't started this year. We may or may not be able to start in September or October. I'm not tremendously optimistic, but it may happen. Much more likely is that we will start May 1st of next year. So next year, May 1st through October 15th will be year 1. That's 2026, and 2027 would be year 2, and 2028 year 3.
So I'm thinking that we have it through October 15th of year 3. This way it gives you the time to get it up and running. Are you confident we'll be running by May 1st? Or should we just have commencement of treatment?
Yeah, I think the commencement of the treatment, 3
Well,
years from the commencement of the
I mean,
treatment.
You're dealing with DEC. Who the hell knows what that's going to be
The
like?
contractor has to come in and install the equipment first, so that's before the treatment actually
Right.
commences.
I know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it from...
The only reason the 3-year thing went in there was because of what the contractor said, but, point well taken.
But
You don't know when it's going to start.
Their contract is for 3 years of actual treatment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's do it 3 years from commencement of treatment, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, because if what happens if there's a delay next year and you don't start till the following year?
what
When you
happens-
start the treatment, you get 3 years. That's it.
And what happens in November?
That's the way to do it.
What happens in November, December? Does it do those months count as within the 3 years?
Yeah, the other thing
not
you can do
on-
that sometimes we just put in resolutions is that, or upon extension by the town board. And then you can just deal with the situation as it arises if they need more time.
Or we could set, and if you're able, I don't know what guidelines the law gives you, but if you do October 31st, 2028 for the end date, I think that will probably cover the
Well,
scenarios.
how long we've been giving you on the chemical treatment?
Well,
That's been kind of
there've been
ongoing.
5. The initial permit was, I think, 5 years, and then it's been renewed since then.
But Ken, if we say from the commencement of treatment, then the end date would be 3 years after you started the treatment. So you wouldn't have to worry about what happens if you go past, hypothetically, by some chance, past October of 2028.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about that because we
could renew at that
we
point.
could ask for an extension at that point.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think that the heavy lift on this is going to be the DEC approval. So I think once you achieve that, I think to continue won't be a big deal.
Do you still have any friends left in D.C., or did you tick them all off?
Everybody retires,
Okay.
That's true.
All right.
But before I forget, though, you do have
let's
to
go
add one more paragraph. We
Oh.
just have to do a further resolve that a negative declaration pursuant to seeker is adopted.
All right.
Just close out the seeker process.
All right, so we'll add that as Dan said. You got that,
And-
Diana, or you want? Okay.
we have to redo the vote to issue the permit in effect after we've adopted the neg deck? It's just a
I think we're
formality.
adopting them both at the same time.
Yeah, this is giving everything.
Okay.
All right, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Good luck.
All right.
Great job, guys.
We will jump into resolutions now. Have a good night, Lake Mohegan. Thank you. From the central garage, authorize the upgrade to fuel management system FuelMaster FM Live, a cloud-based system to be purchased through Sourcewell contract in the amount of $39,149.25. From the engineering department, authorize the comptroller to pay Kayla Homa the cash value of unused time as of her date of resignation as enumerated below. Authorize the comptroller to release the erosion control bond WP 05619 to NLX North America in the amount of $1,000. Authorize the comptroller to release the erosion control bond WP 01725 to Panandrakamur, Bella Lugari in the amount of $500. Hope I did not butcher your name.
Sounded pretty good to me.
Okay. Authorize the comptroller to release the erosion control bond BSWPPP 022-24 Najem and Sons in the amount of $500. From the finance department, authorize the comptroller to pay James Graham the cash value of unused time as of his date of retirement as enumerated below. Hope you are enjoying the retirement, Jim. From the highway department, award bid for stone and gravel concrete materials for the town of Yorktown to the lowest bidder for each item. Okay. And I do not see them enumerated out here. You're going to extend the bid for pavement marking for the highway department. Authorize the comptroller release the following tie into town drainage and street opening permits. And that is Fairview 373 Fairview Avenue and 2991 Hickory Street. And they are Weber's Lawn Care and Panny Industries respectively. From the Parks and Recreation Department, authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer for the Parks and Recreation Department.
I have a question on this.
Yes.
Obviously, there wasn't enough money in their budget to cover some of the camp and pool expenses. I know that the salary was increased for some of the counselors and the lifeguards. Is this because when the budget was passed in December, that it did not reflect the salary increase?
Correct, and I don't think it reflected some of the increases in pricing for like the pool passes and things that occurred this year as well.
All right, because I know we had to increase the salary so that we could get people and get qualified
there was a
people.
cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted.
Yeah, and they're still below minimum wage.
Well,
yeah.
but we had to increase that, and so this just wasn't in the budget. Okay.
Come back in.
From the police department, authorize a member of the Yorktown Police Department to attend the IPTM Pedestrian Bicycle Crash Investigation Training Course from September 21st through September 25th, 2025 in Saratoga County, New York. From the town attorney's office, authorize the supervisor to sign a stormwater control facilities maintenance agreement with John Farrell / American Custom Builders, Inc.
Just can I backtrack, just make a comment on that, the bicycle, the training program. I've heard from several residents concerns about bicycles and ATVs being misused, and we just need somehow more enforcement before the crashes occur.
The electric bicycles are, as long as we keep them off the parks, there's not much we could do. There are rules.
Well, even on sidewalks and things like
Well,
that.
they shouldn't be on sidewalks, right? Bicycles shouldn't be.
I think we should add that as a discussion item.
The electric
Just an added
scooters.
thought.
Yeah. So we'll take a look. From the water department, authorize. It's a grasshopper. He doesn't eat much. Okay, praying mantis, grasshopper. Okay. Oh, was that Ken's? Oh.
But my skirt looks like a garden, so I'm afraid.
All right. Authorize the supervisor to sign change order number 1 agreement for the professional engineering services with H2M Architects and Engineering for the water main extension on Brook Lane, Cecil Drive, and Deer Haunt Street, as enumerated, and that is it. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Yorktown. Hope to see you all at National Night Out tomorrow.
See you tomorrow night, Yorktown.